Hey y'all, I'm Delaney Burst, and this is the second episode of the Dank Dishes by Dee cooking series. And today we are going to be making crab cakes and a corn and avocado tomato salad. So to get started, I've already picked over some jumbo lump crab meat. And it's really important to pick over the crab meat for shells and stuff, because when you buy it at the store, they don't always do that. So you just pick it over and you can feel the shell. So I've already done that. And then this isn't always easy to find in Auburn, Alabama, but Kroger has some, Publix has some, I know Earth Fare used to have some, so it's definitely a more upscale dish, but if you're looking to treat yourself, this is definitely the dish. So I have this, and then also over the break, I recently found out I have celiac disease, which just means I have a gluten allergy. So in this recipe, I normally use Ritz crackers, but since being diagnosed with celiac, I have to use Glutino crackers, which just are a substitute without the gluten. So if you're making this at home and you're not gluten-free, definitely use Ritz. But so I have about 10 or 12 crackers in a bag. And what I'm gonna do, I have this mallet here, but if you don't have this at home, you can just use like a wine bottle or like something hard that you have in the kitchen. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and like bang these so they're kind of like into a crumb consistency, almost like breadcrumbs. So this is about the consistency you want. It's just kind of like if you buy like Italian breadcrumbs at the store, but the crackers just taste a little better. So we're gonna dump this into the picked over crab mixture, just like that. And then you take a fork and just kind of gently mix it around, because you paid for the good crab meat, so you don't want it to just be little crab shreds. Just gently mix it around just until it's incorporated, and then set that aside. And then so in this bowl, we're gonna make the mixture that kind of makes the crab meat have that great texture. So we're gonna crack one egg into here, like so. And it's really important to whisk it before you add the other stuff, because it's gonna be harder to get it the consistency you want. So you're just gonna whip this egg first, and then you add a couple dashes of hot sauce, and just any brand is fine, but I use Tabasco. So just a couple of dashes in there. And then Worcestershire sauce, and then this is a gift from my parents. It's like a homemade Worcestershire sauce, but just if you want to use like Lee & Perrins or something, that's super easy to find anywhere. So just you do half a tablespoon, and normally I would do a full tablespoon for the recipe, but this is just half a pound of crab meat. So if you're using a full pound, just double the recipe. And then you get your mayonnaise, and any mayonnaise is fine, and you just do a quarter of a cup. If it was the full pound, you do a half a cup. So just the proportions are just a little bit different, and it doesn't have to be exact. It's just a rough. So you do the mayonnaise, and then you get Dijon mustard. Again, any brand or kind is fine. You just do half a tablespoon of that too. Just like that. Then you get your fork again, and you want to mix until this is like a really smooth texture, like a sauce, because at first the mayonnaise makes it a little clumpy. So just whisk until you achieve the consistency that's really even. So this is what it should look like when you've mixed it enough. And then you're going to take your crab and cracker mixture, and you just pour, and then you just pour this on the top of it. So get your fork again and gently mix the mayonnaise, etc., into the crab and cracker mixture. Again, just be really gentle not to break up all the crab meat, but make sure all the crab and crackers are incorporated, because what this mixture that we just made with the mayonnaise does is it really helps to soften up the crackers and make it so it's just a binder, not necessarily a crunch in the crab cakes. So this looks about right. This is how it should look when it's finished. And then, as tempting as it may be to eat this right away and cook it, you do have to cover it and refrigerate it for at least an hour. Hey, okay, so we finished making the crab cakes. They're sitting over there. And then next I'm gonna make a corn salad, and you can really put anything that you want in it. This one has corn, tomato, basil, and then a little dressing. So, and a little bit of red onion too. So, but if you have like other vegetables you're looking to get rid of in the fridge, you can definitely throw those in there too. So we're gonna get a pan and start preheating it a little bit, and then add a little bit of olive oil. So before we put the corn and onions in the salad, I don't really like raw onions that much, or corn that isn't cooked, so I'm just gonna brown them a little bit. We are gonna add our onions and corn to this pan, and they're gonna take a little while to brown and reduce, so just give it a little while, maybe about 10 minutes, let it go. Okay, so while the corn and onion are cooking down and browning a little bit, I have here, I just bought a pint of like tri-color tomatoes just because they were pretty, but you can use any kind of tomatoes. You honestly don't even really have to use cherry tomatoes. Whatever you have on hand or you can find at your local store is fine. So I'm going to take the tomatoes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to quarter them so they're in little bite-sized pieces just like this, so they're not just the whole tomatoes. So I'm going to get started on this, and we can check on the corn in a little bit. Okay, so I just finished chopping up that whole pint of tomatoes, and what we're going to do is this is the bowl that we're going to serve the salad in. So I'm actually just going to put all these tomatoes in here. I love tomatoes, and these are so pretty. And a trick to tomatoes, to making them taste really good and bringing out their flavor, is just adding a little bit of salt. I do this to all my tomatoes. It's a trick I learned from my dad. Just making sure all of them just get a little bit of salt. So we're going to set that back aside, and then I have some basil leaves, and the salad is going to have basil. It just gives it like a nice little pop of color. And a nice easy way to chop basil is you just kind of roll it up like this, and it just gives you really fine julienne pieces of basil that are yummy in your salad. Okay, so next we're going to make the dressing that goes on top of this corn, tomato, avocado salad, just while the corn and everything's cooking in the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with some olive oil. We're going to put about 3 tablespoons in here. I'm just doing half of the recipe that it calls for because I don't like a lot of dressing. I really like the vegetables to stand out. So we have about 3 tablespoons right there. And then it calls for 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar. If you don't have red wine vinegar, you can use some other acid. This is just what I happen to have in the pantry. And then 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard too. There we go. And then it's really important to salt and pepper your dressing to help all those flavors be really enhanced. Just a little pinch of salt and a few cracks of pepper. And then I just did this in a little mason jar, but you can do it in anything with a lid, just so you can shake it up. And then I'm just gonna shake that up, and that is our dressing. It's all done. Okay, so I finished the corn and onion. It's been about 10-12 minutes. You can see when it's finished, it's gonna be super brown, and the onion is kind of caramelized, and the corn has some brown edges, and that's what you want, just to give it a little extra flavor. So we're just gonna pour this right on top of the basil and tomatoes that we've already put in the pan, and it'll just kind of warm the whole salad through. You don't want it hot, and you don't really want it cold. So we're gonna add all the corn and onions, yum. And I've already cut up 2 avocados, and I'm gonna cut up the 3rd. You can put as many avocados as you'd like in here. I love avocado, so the more the merrier. And to cut up my avocados, I just kind of score the avocado like this, and then I'll scoop it out with a spoon. Get the pit out of there. And just score this other one. And just like the tomatoes, I salt my avocados just to bring out a little extra flavor, not too much. Just a little bit on each one. And then I'm just gonna spoon these into our salad. So, while I finish that up, before I do that, I just have some crumbled goat cheese, and I just had this in my fridge, so you can add any kind of cheese if you want. but I just thought this would give it a nice little extra flavor too. Just some crumbled goat cheese. It's definitely not a necessary step, just if you want a little something extra. So I'm gonna finish this up and get it ready to plate. Okay, so we're getting the salad finished up, and in the meantime, I'm gonna start the crab cakes because they take a little bit to cook. So just grab your olive oil, and I'm not gonna measure this, but it's probably about a tablespoon or so. Just kind of fill the pan. And then I'm gonna give it a little extra flavor too, because this is kind of an indulgence. So I'm gonna grab some butter. Just do about a tablespoon, half a tablespoon of butter into the pan as well. So we're gonna get that heated, and then when the pan is heated and the butter is all melted, then we can start cooking the crab cake. Okay, so our butter and oil is melted, everything's combined, and our heat I would say is on like medium, low, because you don't really want these to cook too quickly. You want them to have time for everything and all the juices that we put in there earlier to really like meld with everything. So we have our crab cake mixture, and it depending on like the size that you want, I would find like medium size. You just grab some out and you just can form it in your hand. It's super easy, just in the crab cake patty. So I would say it's about ½ an inch thick, and then you just place them in the pan. Make sure they're nice and firm so they don't fall apart in the pan. So just place that in the pan. And ½ a pound I would say makes like 3 or 4, so a full pound if you do decide to indulge. I mean, you can eat this all week, so it's definitely worth it. So here we have another one. Place that in the pan. Let's see, I'm gonna turn this heat down a little because we don't want it to cook too fast. One more. I'm just gonna cook 3 medium-sized ones tonight. So what I do is I cover them with a lid so everything can cook inside, and just turn them a little lower. I'm gonna wash my hands. Okay, so it's about time for our crab cakes to flip. It's been about 3 minutes. So just take the lid off and grab your flipper. Oh, those look great. So they should be nice and brown. Just like that. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna cover them back up. Let that side cook for about another 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so let's just put the finishing touches on our salad. So we have the dressing here we made earlier. Whisk it around a little. And then just pour it over the top. And I don't always add all the dressing. Just a little bit left, just because I really like the vegetables to shine. So then just go ahead and mix all of this up. That looks so good. So we have the corn, avocado, tomatoes, basil, the Dijon dressing, and some shredded crumbled goat cheese. Yum. Okay, so we're just gonna plate a little bit of this while we get ready for our crab cakes. Super colorful and yummy. Get some of those tomatoes in there at the top. Yum. Okay, so that's what the finished product of the salad will look like. Okay, so we have our corn salad plated and our crab cakes look perfect. So I'm just gonna eat 2 because I think 3 crab cakes is a lot for dinner just for me. So I'm gonna grab 2. These 2 look great. And then this is dinner. Okay, so I'm enjoying my delicious dinner. Stay tuned for next week's episode. And if you want to see more dishes by Dank Dishes by D, check out the Auburn Plainsman YouTube channel. Thanks.